Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Archontou here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. So happy to have some time with you today on this Wednesday afternoon. It's 1 p.m. or a little after 1 p.m., 1:15. And we are always grateful for YWTV that helps us put the social back and social distancing, keeps us all engaged and inspired on the stories that we need right now. So we're very, very happy to have this time with all of you today. If you don't know, today is Women's Veterans Appreciation Day. So we thought that it was important.
It's not today.
Oh,
We're getting there.
We're getting closer to it.
Almost. Getting there. Almost there.
Sorry about that. So it's coming shortly. But we wanted to, in honor of Women's Veterans Appreciation Day, to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about women because they comprise a growing minority of veterans that are entering the military, serving our country, and being honorably discharged. But we know that the women that are returning home from service are faced with a wide range of challenges, including PTSD syndrome, military sexual trauma, homelessness, and a lack of overall support. And although we know that all veterans and everyone coming back from service definitely have challenges, there are some unique challenges that women who are in the military face. So we're happy to have this opportunity to talk with some of the leaders in our community about this issue. We have AJ Luna with us, who is a veteran of the U.S. Army, and he is the Director of Veteran Services for the County of Bergen. Welcome, AJ.
Thanks, Helen. Thanks for having me. Hi.
We have Lucy Del Gaudio, who is a veteran of the U.S. Army as well, and she is the co-chair for the New Jersey SOS Veteran Stakeholder Women's Subcommittee, as well as in her professional life, a program manager at Prudential Advisors. She's also a fellow Fort Lee Bridgman graduate of Fort Lee High School, like I am.
Well, no,
we go.
Remember, I didn't graduate, so
in my heart, you did.
Oh, that's fine.
So we go way back, and I'm very also happy to have a member of our YWCA family and team, Dana Carter, who is a veteran also of the U.S. Army. Excuse me.
Be careful.
She is a healingSPACE youth prevention and education specialist today, and they're a part of our team. And I'm so happy to have the three of them be part of this opportunity to share resources with our community. They all are part of helping female veterans in our community, connect them with resources, help grow resources for them. And we're happy to have a productive and positive life for everyone. So with everyone here. So AJ, let's start with you. I know that you served in the U.S. Army and that you had a successful tenure afterwards at Fairleigh Dickinson University. And a few years ago, you were appointed by our county executive, James Tedesco III, as the Director of Veteran Services for Bergen County. Can you tell us a little bit about how we are currently servicing our 30,000 resident veterans in Bergen County?
Sure, Helen. Well, I got appointed in 2015, and I'm happy to report since 2015, we have successfully housed over 350 veterans into safe and permanent affordable housing throughout the area. One of the big pushes that the county executive was making was to be able to assist veterans in finding affordable housing. Obviously, homeless and veteran are two words that should never go together. Mm-hmm. But it is an issue in the community. What we've been able to do is partner with many stakeholders within the community to address those issues. And in 2016, HUD certified us as the 28th community in the country to have successfully ended veteran homelessness. Now, that doesn't mean that there's never ever going to be a homeless veteran again. But what it does mean is that the county government, along with its partners, have made tremendous strides in addressing and meeting this issue head on. And obviously that wouldn't have been possible without like some of my colleagues that I want to mention now. Julia Orlando,
I was just going to say, Shout
Yep.
out, Julia.
Shout out to Julia, director of the HAC, the Health and Human Services Center of Bergen County. That's our shelter. And also to the political leadership, James Tedesco, for giving me the opportunity. But also, I think what made our story very unique was that we had the political will to want to address that issue. And obviously, being one of the 00 communities in the country, having ended veteran homelessness and chronic homelessness, that's a really big feather on a cap. So what we are proving, if you get the right resources in place and the right people in place, and you partner with the right programs that are in the community, homelessness can be solved. And I think a lot of people are seeing that. We've gone down to Trenton to give testimony about some of the things that we're doing. And part of the luxury that I have is that because I am so new to government still, I've only been here for 5 years. I've been able to kind of take what I've learned from my military background and my academic background and also my business background and apply it to some of the things that we're trying to do here in the county. And what it's been doing, it's been really motivating people and places to want to get involved to help veterans.
Yeah, I
And
have
if
to
we,
say, one of the shout outs I just want to make to you and also to our county executive. I mean, I have to say there's been a real shift in the way that we've served veterans too, because you've started this countywide task force. The YWCA obviously has, signed on to be part of it years ago, but I think that really has created an understanding for all of us in the community, how we can all really work together to be able to support our veterans. So I kudos to your leadership and obviously to our leadership in the county as well, because I think bringing that fresh mindset, definitely has helped us look at all of these issues and understand, more.
well, Helen, I appreciate that. And also to just let you know that, kudos to YWCA2 and all of our partners, because when I came in, I was of the mindset, politically, a lot of people have differences of opinions, but when you deal with reality, those are two different kind of ideologies. So when I came on board from the previous administration, there were only two people that were servicing veterans, and back then we had about 37,000 veterans. So what the county exec was able to do was he restored the division back to full strength. And, that allows me to go out into the community and to form these partnerships. But I'm one of the mindset, including with all the agencies that are out there, state government, federal government, anybody that, this issue with veteran homelessness and just veterans in general, it's a community issue. So we all have a stake in it. And especially when I'm thinking when you first offered opportunities for female veterans to get job skills, employment skills, MSD counseling. If I don't have a source that can provide it, that's a government entity, I'm going to look outside, because first and foremost, I'm an advocate. So I need to be able to find community resources that I can refer our constituents to. And I think part of that big reason why we've been successful was just the whole stakeholder philosophy, the New Jersey stakeholder philosophy, to bring all community partners to the table, see what everybody is offer, and see how we can refer people to things that we can't do. Probably the most humbling thing for me, and I learned this really fast, is that I don't want to be like everybody else in government who thinks they know everything. If I don't know it, I don't know it. But there are experts out there that do know it. And it's my job to try to find and form those relationships with those experts. And Lucy has done a phenomenal job too, just telling the story about female veterans and what they've been going through. But I'm very happy to say, or confident to say, that we're in a lot better position than we were in 2015. And hopefully we can continue to do that work and partner with our community resources. We're also very fortunate that we have a lot of good resources in Bergen County. So it's not hard to look for different things that people in the community might need.
So, AJ, question for you. Why is it important for the New Jersey SOS stakeholders to bring to the forefront issues for female veterans here in New Jersey? Sometimes, with a lot of issues, people think, oh, everyone has the same issue. Why do we have to segment out a population, to get attention? So what would you say to that?
That's a very good question. And obviously, if and Lucy can also speak to this as well. When we started this back 3 years ago, June 12th is Female Veterans Appreciation Day. Now, you know, yes, we want to honor our female veterans, but they are veterans. The reason that that came about was because we were trying to advocate for female health care for our female veterans. So, for instance, since 2008, you said it, female veterans are the largest minority group that's growing in the military. I believe somewhere around 12 to 14%. In the state of New Jersey, you have 33,000 female veterans. So, what we were trying to do was engage in conversations with VA leadership to try to see if we can advocate to get female veterans healthcare, like a female veterans healthcare clinic. There's a lot of healthcare needs that female vets have and experience that their male counterparts don't have. And also, there are a lot of challenges that female veterans face. Part of it is allocating the resources, but it's also changing the mindset. You have to understand that female veterans have been serving since the Revolutionary War. So our sisters in arms, this is nothing new. However, what needs to change is how to look and approach the issue. You have a delivery system, a healthcare system with the VA that's driven towards male veterans for historical and societal reasons. And you also have a culture that still has to do a better job of not only embracing female vets, but offering the specific healthcare needs that they're going to need in order to thrive. See, when I hear stories from constituents about going down to the VA and just not getting good service, it's a concern to everybody. And male veterans experience the same thing. But what we have to do as advocates, as people that are in the community, is to bring this to the attention of not only the leadership of the VA, but also our elected officials. Because I know that, if when you peel back the onion and you see it for what it is, female vets, just like male veterans, a veteran comes from your community. So, that's somebody's mother, sister, that's somebody's daughter, just like that's somebody's brother, son, and father. And again, if female veterans served honorably, and I'll just go a little off tangent. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but in Iraq, when I served back in 2004, 2005, I was a military police officer. We had female MPs. There was no battle lines, quote unquote. Those bullets didn't care if you were a male or a female. So again, is having and advocating for that support system to be able to help and assist female veterans in thriving. And a lot of the issues that they're facing are a direct result of not being able to think about or having the foresight to think about those pressing issues. One pressing issue that I've studied is homelessness among the female veteran population. If it's a single female or a single male, that to us in Bergen County, it shouldn't be a difficult task to get those people services. However, what a lot of people, and Lucy has been doing a great job in talking to our elected leadership about, is female veterans with children, single parents. We don't have shelters that can accommodate that specific population. There is one shelter in Ridgewood, Family Promise, but that's a working shelter. But we wouldn't be able to accommodate a family if that situation was to arise. And what that does, it puts an extra burden on us to try to gather all the resources to try to help that family. Now, I will say that we've housed a lot of veterans, but probably our two most challenging segments or subsets of the population has been severely mental health, and also single parents with children. So what we're trying to do is just have a conversation and try to change people's mindset on why it's important to have or to be able to offer those specific healthcare services to our female veteran population.
Well, that's really fascinating, and I appreciate that you know, are giving that level of detail because I know for those of us that are civilians, you know, we just had Memorial Day, we have these, days that we honor service people, but we don't necessarily understand the depth of the sacrifice and the issues that come with service, for our country. And it's good for people to be able to hear and also think about ways that they can be supportive and help, support these issues. And obviously, one of them is to continue to, because as you said, there's obviously someone that we're all connected to that is, has, given service, to our country. It's important to let our elected officials know and understand that these issues are important to us and that we want to see the resources go to support, all the services and needs that you're identifying for sure. Well, thank you, AJ. We'll be back to you in a moment. I want to take a moment to talk with Lucy, who's also with us. Hi,
Hello.
Lucy.
Hi.
So, for those of you who don't know Lucy, she's a longtime friend of the YW. She's, as we said, a veteran of the U.S. Army, and she served in the 39th Finance Support Unit in Hanau, Germany, and supported the 5th Corps, Frankfurt, Germany, during Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So she's been a strong advocate for veterans in the state of New Jersey, and really is one of the go-to people, on this topic statewide. And she serves as the co-chair for the New Jersey SOS Veteran Stakeholders Women's Subcommittee, as we said earlier. So you and your subcommittee were key in advocating to establish June 12th as Women's Veterans Appreciation Day, not today, but on June 12th. So tell us a little bit about the significance of creating that day and why you've been such a strong advocate around that issue.
So June 12th, 1948, President Truman signed the Women Armed Services Integration Act, allowing women to serve actively in the military. So we chose, again, it's a significant day for women in the military. Like AJ said, women have been a large part of the military since the Revolutionary War. Women used to dress like men to join the services and be in the front lines and do everything that our male counterparts did. And then June 12th, 1948 came to place. And it was a very historic day, but it wasn't recognized. And we just wanted to have a day where women veterans who are in the forefront of their communities could have an opportunity and a day in order for them to celebrate that. We as women veterans, and not all of us feel that this day was needed. There's still a large group of women that feel that this day kind of segregates us. And that's not what we intended to do. It wasn't anything about segregating women. It's just one day to recognize the fight, the struggle that women veterans face each and every day. Some of us, again, I don't want to speak for everybody, but what happens in the veteran population. So it gives us a day to actually really recognize the efforts, to recognize what's going on in the advocacy space for women veterans. Not every state recognized June 12th. Jersey was the 8th state to recognize the day. It's still not a national day of recognition. It's something that we're hoping that one day will pass. We were the 8th state. Texas was the first. So we kind of joined that bandwagon. So it gave us a day, a platform to advocate and to be heard and to, have that significance. Why?
Well, I think that,
Yeah. Okay. Go on. You could ask your question, Helen.
No. Please continue.
Yeah.
You were freezing a little on the screen, so keep going.
Cool. So,
Yeah.
Why I started to advocate was for a lot of reasons. For a long time, I really couldn't identify as a woman veteran. It was very hard for me. I had issues that I really never addressed. And once I started addressing my issues and really coming to the forefront, I noticed that other women needed that assistance as well. So that's when I kind of changed my mindset and started advocating because I saw all the deficiencies that were taking place in the state of New Jersey and nationwide, because women veterans are so highly underserved when it comes to the VA, and so highly underserved when it comes to homelessness, and underserved in so many different capacities, that we need that strong voice. But one of the major reasons I really started advocating is that I saw that other veteran organizations really weren't doing their due diligence when it came to the advocating. They were doing their thing. It wasn't my thing. And I really needed to find a voice within myself in the veteran community to make sure that I was advocating for the right reasons, that I wasn't out there wearing something across my chest that wasn't really valuable to me. I wanted to make sure that the right reasons were being advocated: the homelessness, the medical deficiencies, all that good stuff was actually being heard from by everybody.
Yeah, I think the medical issues, just over the years, you and I obviously have had many conversations, and you've educated me so much on the some of the challenges that female veterans in particular are faced with. Maybe you can share a little for those watching. What are some of the healthcare issues that you've really had to struggle with, and why the advocacy was needed for female veterans.
So again, the VA was created with the male veteran in mind, the male service member in mind. So all the services, and I don't want to say all the services are in place for the male veteran, because there's some services that definitely need tweaking. But for the women, there's kind of a neglect when it comes to the state of New Jersey. We don't have a mammogram machine in the state of New Jersey. We don't have a women's clinic that really serves the women, the gender specific traditional breast cancer, cardio, because we our cardio representation is completely different than a male representation. So the gender specific needs of the women are really addressed at the VA level. One of the things is the women's only clinic, especially when it comes to a woman who has experienced military sexual trauma or experiences PTSD. Sometimes it's very difficult for us to go to a location with a huge populace of men, and it might cause a trigger. So we kind of wanted to create just a safe space for women veterans to go and to be taken care of properly, and to be taken care of the way their male counterparts are. So that's really one of the big bases. Also holistic practices, a lot of women find holistic medicines more, and males do too. So creating more of a holistic practice, but also allowing the woman veteran to make a decision of how she should be treated when it comes medically. It shouldn't be a doctor telling me, oh, well, this is what you need to do. I want to make that choice, and I want to make that decision. And that's something that we really advocate for.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that, because I think I know for me years ago when we started having these conversations, it was um, initially shocking, and then over time, disconcerting that we weren't seeing changes in, obviously something as basic for women as a mammogram, accessibility, right within the veterans healthcare system, and some, pretty common and regular, GYN support. So I think that although I know that, some are concerned about segregating, women's advocacy and issues for veteran services. And I know, we're grateful to have, advocates like AJ and Dave Pearson, and a lot of, we call them he for she's, that are, out there, supporting, women's issues, because they understand that they are, holistically, part of the veterans, issues component, and they have to be spoken about. But, we really need to continue to bring attention to the fact that these services do not exist, for women who have served our country and are going to, their, veterans healthcare system, for support, and, are not able to access, these important parts of primary care right, there.
But one of the biggest problems that Jersey faces is that not enough women are identifying themselves. So, the VA likes to play that numbers game with us. Hey, we have XY X amount of women veterans, so that doesn't constitute a mammogram machine. So we really try to say, if you're a woman, please identify yourself. If you're a veteran, identify yourself. Make sure you're going to register with the VA so they know you're here, and then they could tell you what actual services. Because I'm not saying that every service in the VA is bad for a woman. It's not. I'm saying is that the more women that want to utilize the VA, the more women that are out there in numbers, the better they will serve us. And again, there's a lot of VAs that do a great job for women. New Jersey just happens not to be one of them. There's a fine line when it comes to the really great practice of VA healthcare, and it's out there. But then there's that fine line of where we're not getting the attention that we deserve. And again, I just say, if you're a woman veteran, go out there, identify yourself. We speak volumes, and the more there's of us, the more we'll get the attention that we actually really need.
Well, thank you. And thank you for sharing some of your thoughts on this, Lucy. I know we have Dana with us as well, who's part of our healingSPACE team. So I'd like to take an opportunity to chat with her as well. Hi, Dana. So for everyone watching, as I shared, Dana is part of our healingSPACE team and our Sexual Violence Resource Center. She's been with our prevention components of our center and active with the hotline, and in general, just active with our entire community and organization. But it's been, for us as an organization and us as a Sexual Violence Resource Center, a real benefit to have a female veteran as part of our team. And we're grateful for, the viewpoints and the information that she's able to bring because of that experience. And we're so grateful that you're always so open to doing that. So over this past year or so, we've had the opportunity to identify through our funding sources the option to provide services specifically to female veterans who've experienced sexual violence. Can you talk to us a little bit about military sexual violence? And of course, we know that military sexual violence happens to male and females, in the military. But can you share a little bit about what that is and some of the resources that we need to be providing for the community specifically in this area?
Okay, so military sexual violence is basically the same as sexual violence in general. Sexual harassment, it's sexual assault, which is rape. And like you said, it's perpetrated by everyone. It can be perpetrated by males or females. Gender really does not matter. Some of the services that we are able to provide, I know at healingSPACE for residents of Bergen County, if they don't want to go to the VA to receive services, which is very understandable. I know personally I receive services through the VA, but it's at a satellite, portion of the VA. The VA does have separate areas. The VA Vet Center is a fantastic resource for people who have suffered from military sexual trauma, and they provide very, 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 very detailed services there. The VA is not always, the hospitals are not always a great option for women. I know personally going in and out of the VA, my husband is a veteran as well. So even when I go for my appointments to the VA, it's not always the most comfortable experience. Women don't always like to go to the VA, mainly because it is a male dominated space. And if you are suffering from any kind of trauma through MST, going through the VA, when you walk through those doors for the first time or every time you go in, you are surrounded by men, So to get to your floor, because we have one floor in East Orange, say in the hospital in East Orange, we have one floor that helps us. So to get to that floor, you have to pass through a sea of, mostly men, except for maybe some concession workers. It's not always the best experience. So a lot of women who need to receive services choose to go outside. You know, one thing I love about the YW is that we have taken on that mantle and are willing to help females, veterans who don't want to receive services through, you know, the VA. Um, it's a lot of controversy about MST services in the VA right now. I mean, me personally, I've heard from other female veterans, you know, just some very negative things, you know, about it. And that's why we don't also see enough female veterans identifying themselves in the community in New Jersey. It's very hard to come across a group of female veterans, like a whole group of females in the state of New Jersey. In November, we put on a you know, like an event where we could provide resources for female veterans through the YW. And while our turnout was fantastic, you know, a lot of women were not able to come because they said that they're, you know, they had childcare needs that, you know, they were not able to meet, you know, they did not want to talk about, you know, their experiences in the military. There's a whole lot of different needs that need to be met. It's just been a very difficult experience being a female vet in some respects. Um, I know that the communities are opening up their doors more. I give AJ and you know, Lucy and you know, David Pearson, everyone a lot of credit, the SOS vets, a lot of credit because they are definitely trying to provide as much help and care as they possibly can for all veterans and female veterans also. There are a lot of resources that are opening up to us that years ago were not open. I did not know, you know, when I got out the military, that there were so many things open and that there was other help out there. So for a long time, you know, you just make it on your own. You just do what it is that you have to do. Um, but as these things are starting to open up, I urge other female veterans, look and ask questions. Find out what's going on in your community. Also, go to Facebook or any social media platform and just type in female veterans and see what pops up in your area. There are a lot of things out there, you know, for female veterans. We just have to, you know, really be there for one another and really look for, you know, these resources. Um, it's a very difficult process. It's a, you know, especially when you're dealing with MST, it's very, you know, difficult, but there are people out there for you. You are not alone. We are not alone. And, you know, we'll do what we can at YW to be there for you.
Well, Dana, we're very, as I said, lucky to have you on our team and our partnerships with Lucy and AJ.
This is my family.
Yes, we feel strongly at the YWCA that we need to bring attention to these issues and these conversations. You know, we support our veterans as a whole. We specifically want to, you know, always make sure that female veterans, you know, that we join the advocacy for the issues that are impacting them, and veterans that have been impacted by sexual trauma, by military sexual trauma, that, you know, with programming and support networks that speak to the veteran and the military community to be able to support individuals, you know, through that trauma. So before we close, I just wanted an opportunity to talk to Lucy, AJ, and Dana together. As I said, we really embrace opportunities at the YW like this, like the event that we did this past you know, this past fall, the events we've done in the past with our makeovers for female veterans. You know, we really embrace opportunities to be able to bring attention, you know, to these issues and conversations. And although we seem to have lost AJ for the moment, he may return. But until then, you know, one of the things I just wanted to close out by, and there he is, he's back, the wonder of technology. You know, I wanted to just make sure, you know, for anybody watching, to, you know, especially this time of COVID where people, I think, are becoming aware and educated on a lot more issues because of the fact that we are kind of concentrated and, everything is, so present for us. What are things that, an individual in the community who want to support female veterans and veterans, what are some actions and activities that individuals can get involved with?
Want me to take that one, ladies, or anybody?
Go ahead.
Whoever.
Well,
It's all yours.
okay.
You're in the community.
A lot of different ways, Helen, for people to get involved. Obviously, supporting your organization and the work that you do. We have partnered up with a lot of entities over the past couple of weeks. The Bergen County Prosecutor's Office. They did a food run for our guys in AJT. Lucy has also helped out with our transitional housing in Garfield through Community Hope. One thing that really was near and dear to my heart, what's going on in Paramus at the home, and COVID has really hit them hard. So we got a couple of donors through NJ Stakeholders and Catholic Charities, and we were able to bring them a lot of treats so they can enjoy the time up there, because I know they got hit really hard.
Yeah.
But I just tell people, there's a lot of different ways to get involved. Either if you want to do a contribution, definitely my advice is definitely check out the more local, the better. That's how I feel. And kind of see who's out there and what kind of work is impactful in the community. Again, the unfortunate part of COVID is that you have some organizations that are out there and they're doing what I call a lot of feel-good stuff, and they're trying to stay relevant, and there's no service. So again, get to know those organizations and ask those type of questions on what kind of support you want to give. Also, I tell employers all the time, there's a lot of different things that they can do. Everybody wants to be close with technology and do things through Zoom. However, though, with the population that we deal with, especially with our older, more indigent population, that's not a possibility. So I'll make a recommendation. You can do a resource drive for veterans. We can go drop it off. We can do a lot of things to try to get our guys and gals what they need to survive this. And also, a lot of people have to take this opportunity to kind of reflect on where they at. Some of us are very fortunate, that we can work from home and that we haven't, besides our lifestyle being inconvenienced, we're dealing with this crisis best we can. But what I'm trying to focus my attention on is once we get back or to some kind of level of normalcy, there's going to be a lot of services that people are going to need. So again, if I would say right now it's good to support, but definitely think about the period when we start to adjust back, because I know that a lot of people have been affected with losing their income, losing their businesses. Mental health's going to spike up. So those are kind of things that we got to focus our attention on and make sure that, we don't all get overwhelmed with people needing these services.
So we'll make sure for anybody watching to link, AJ's department, which has a great resource list of local community agencies on it. And we'll obviously, if Lucy or Dana have any other suggestions of organizations to share where people can get involved or get support, we'll also be listing them in the comments over the next, few hours as we receive them from them to this post. And if there is someone in your life who you're sorry wasn't watching this live as it's happening, don't feel like they've lost the opportunity. This is taped on the YWCA page and you can share it with them. Lucy, Dana, any other last thoughts on your end before we close out tonight?
Again, there's some really wonderful resources out there. If you're feeling any type of depression, feeling any type of need to speak to someone, you have Vet for Warriors. It's a 24/7 hotline for veterans here in the state of New Jersey. Some really great folks work there, and they're really, really willing to speak to everybody. You have Operation Sisterhood in Morristown, who are there for our sister veterans in need. And again, Catholic Charities and the SOS Veteran Stakeholders, we're there to support you in any way possible that we could help you. Community Hope, there's just a lot of that are really willing to help the veterans in this space and do it correctly. We want to make sure that everybody's doing it safe, that everybody's getting the proper resources, and we just want to make sure you're okay.
Mhm.
Great.
And also, I wanted to give a shout out to Support Services for Veteran Families, SSVF. You can contact them for family, issues. If you need help, all of the AJ and Lucy, they pretty much gave you guys a great rundown of all of the resources that are available. And of course, us at the YW, we are here. Also, we have a 24-hour hotline for, anyone who needs to discuss any kind of sexual trauma. So just be well and be safe.
Yes. And we're so grateful to the three of you for your leadership in this area, and happy to have our partnerships with you, and look forward to continuing this conversation, and create more support the resource development, advocacy on important issues that we need to, make sure that our elected officials are aware that we are all supportive and, pushing for, and, partnership on events and programs, that are, necessary to help support our veteran community and our female veteran community in particular. So with that, I want to just also share with our viewers, we have two more Facebook Live YWTVs this week. Tomorrow night, we have our When on the Go, which is focusing on self-love and self-care for our small business owners. A lot of small business owners really have been, impacted significantly with their businesses not being able to function, normally during this time, and the stress of that has, and the stress of obviously the financial impact of that as well, has really kept some small business owners from taking the best care of themselves. So we're happy to have Audrey Zona, who's integrative health and wellness coach with us, Liz Barnett Simmons, who's a food and fitness coach, Jessica Kishpa, who's a certified holistic nutritionist and mindfulness life coach, and Judith P. Dazzle, who's the owner of Rock Collage in Teaneck. And so we look forward to that conversation tomorrow evening. Also on Friday, we continue the self-care conversation with Karen Foote, who is the with Rebalance, Reiki, and Massage. And she's going to show us a little bit how to manage massage and some relaxation activities that we can be doing at home to help us through this time with the stress that we're probably feeling in our back and our necks and all these other places that it's kind of nestled. But we appreciate you spending this time with us today. Again, thank you to AJ, Gina, and Lucy for sharing their expertise and their resources. And again, we will be posting some of those in the comments on this program. If anyone has any questions, specifically, feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll make sure that they get to the right folks to get answered for you as well. Or you can message the YW privately, or reach out to AJ's organization at the county, or any of the other ones listed. So thank you all. Be well. Take care, and we'll see you all again soon tomorrow. Bye-bye.